It's all fun and games till someone gets shot.
I'm not sure if you guys just heard, but there's something massive happening in video games right now. I would personally consider this to be something as big as what happened with loot boxes back in 2016. One company started it, and then all of the other companies tried to get onto it. But then thankfully, we had politicians step in, and that calmed everything down. Now, it didn't stop their money making schemes. They just discovered new ones, right? 2016 was about loot boxes. 2017 and 18 was about battle passes, skins, and cosmetics. But the pay to win aspect, especially the gambling aspect of it, was removed from video games for at least a decade. But here we are again, staring down the barrel of gambling in video games. Riot Games tweeted this out: why we're opening betting sponsors in esports and how we're doing it responsibly. This whole little thing that they released is complete trash. They're trying to explain to the players about why gambling is cool, it's fun, how they want to make money. Like, if you want to look at these 3 bullet points here: answer from the call from our partner teams to open up sponsor communities with betting brands to generate additional revenue for their financial health. Sponsors demanded this. They did it for revenue, and then Riot Games caved and said yes. Now, this is going to set a crazy precedent, because we're going to talk about how big Riot Games are and whether or not we will see this kind of behavior pop up in other esports. Give it some time, right? Red Bull or whatever else. It says too, guides and supports the development of regulations, monitoring the best practices, and educational programs that protect integrity of esports teams, pros, fans, and events. So yeah, when you talk about gambling being put into anything, you got to start talking about people rigging it. We already know people cheat in video games. People get caught cheating all the time. But now if there's real big money in terms of gambling, that's another incentive to cheat and cheat hard. But then also pay off the officials to look the other way. It could get really crazy. You talk about what's happening in real sports. Yeah, it's madness. 3, strengthen and reinforces the competitive integrity standards of our esports competitive by improving our ability to monitor betting and activity for violations of our policy. When you look into the comment section, everyone is just rejecting it. Disgusting and embarrassing. One of the top liked comments in this thread says, while we're opening betting sponsors, the Saudis offered a large enough quid for it. There, saves you a read. Riot is one of the biggest video game companies on the planet. Is it bigger than Blizzard? Yes, it is. Blizzard is ranked 366 in the list of global top brands. Meanwhile, Riot is ranked 77. Riot is also 100% owned by Tencent. Tencent is one of the richest gaming companies on the planet, rivaling Microsoft, Sony, Google, NetEase. So if one of those companies, Tencent, gets into sports betting, all of these other ones will as well. And it will be in subtle ways at first, right? This probably will be a sleeper that falls under the radar, but eventually it's going to be everywhere. And here's why: the money that's being made. How big is the online gambling market? Now, these numbers are just for North America. It was difficult to get numbers on many different regions, but you can see it has an estimated market value of $16.59 billion. That's 2024. The forecast market is expected to double by 2030. This is $32.95 billion. Now that video games is getting in on this, maybe that forecast will be much higher now, because this was a prediction without video game betting taking place. So when you ask the question of how much is the betting market worth as a whole, for the US alone, it's $108.92 billion in 2024. The market value is expected to reach $198.53 billion by 2023. The American sports betting industry posted a record 13.71 billion in 2024 revenue, up from 2023's record of 11.04 billion. So this is why they're doing it. There's a lot of money to be made here. Riot Games already makes a fortune off of all different type of cosmetics, and we know that these companies are endlessly chasing that bottom line and trying to make it go up and up and up. The stock investors want more and more and more, and you see many different type of greedy practices come along, but none of them are as crazy as this. I'm personally surprised that we haven't seen something like this before. The fact that we're in 2025 and they're finally introducing sports betting, I guess we had it good for a very long time. And here's the dark sides of the sports betting. Up to 23 Americans land in debt due to gambling. When you look a little bit further at the percentages, you can see 14% say they've gone into debt as a result of gambling. 29% of bettors say they plan to increase the amount that they bet this year compared to last. But here's where things get really crazy, because video games mostly are targeted at children. We know the age rating to play some of these games is as low as 13, 15, and then when they put like all type of predatory monetization and cosmetics, that's something that we talk about. But now when you have the tournament circuits for these games having an online betting aspect, even if they don't partake in it, they are being exposed to these practices, and they just grow up in a world where gambling and throwing all your money away is much more accepted. And you end up with results like these. A 2023 NCAA survey found that nearly 60% of 18 to 22-year-olds had participated in sports betting, with some experiencing financial distress, academic struggles, and even mental health crisis as a result. And this is just people betting on sports, people betting on fights, people betting on everything except for gaming. But gaming being the biggest industry on the planet, bigger than music, bigger than movies, bigger than everything. Once all of these companies tap into the sports betting and we see it reaches its peak, these numbers are going to skyrocket. And when you talk about Tekken may not be the first to do it, especially where we're at right now with season 2 being so bad and the season 2 the bouncing along getting a lot of hate. But if Tekken can recover, and if Tekken can do good, and if all of the other games like EA, Call of Duty, League of Legends gets in on this action, I wouldn't be surprised if years down the road Tekken has a sports betting community and it's just normal. I wouldn't be surprised if the commentators are talking about sports ads and bet on the predictions of the outcome of the match live while the match is going on. If you think about real sports, I remember the days when sports betting was not possible. And then all of a sudden, the politician said, go ahead and do your thing. And then now it's the most normal thing ever. Everything is about sports betting. And when you talk about how it's been amped up to 10, where people will bet on anything. So parlays, I don't know too much about parlays, but parlays is really crazy. Parlays, if that system was introduced in Tekken or introduced into video games where you could bet on this country, you could bet on this person, you could bet on this number of rounds, you could bet on this number of games, it's just like the worst that society has to offer making its way into video games, and then this is just going to have a disastrous outcome. There's no world where sports betting is good for video games. None. Even if you talk about, oh, they reinvest the money back into the games, they don't do that. They make billions off of cosmetics, and these games year by year get cheaper. The developers get laid off. They're trying to replace them all with AI. We know the money's not going back to the games. When you add in this super predatory gambling system, it's just going to make the games all about that. I can already imagine parlays being introduced for which character is revealed next. Put a parlay if it's Bob, put a parlay if it's Miguel, put a parlay if it's male or female, put a parlay if it's revealed at this tournament. I don't know. Maybe I'm just panicking and overthinking it. Maybe it's just like, maybe this won't happen. But when you have one of the biggest game companies on the planet who's backed by Tencent put sports gambling out there, we know all the other companies right now are having discussions about how can they do it and make a fortune off of it.